everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Awesome Sunday Show. Pat here.
And Connor.
And today, we're going to be talking about The Flash as it concluded its season. So we're going to cover the last two episodes.
Yeah. The last two of the season. And it's been a long season because of all the breaks.
I know. I'm hoping next season does not have nearly any amount as the same amount as breaks. You know, just the winter break. I get that. Like the mid-season break. That's fine.
No, yeah.
Not like 5 other ones after that.
I'm not a fan of mid-season breaks to begin with, but like I understand why they do it.
Yeah.
But there was like 4 breaks.
There was too many.
Yeah.
One is enough. You know, but hopefully that changes for next season. Thankfully, we'll see if we're thankful or not.
Yeah. Supergirl's coming back is going to the CW.
Yeah,
now.
Supergirl is officially on the CW.
I almost said coming back, but
yeah,
it's
officially on the CW now.
Yeah.
Which is going to set up. The president of the CW has said it's going to be a 4-part crossover between Supergirl, Flash, Arrow, and Legends. Probably around, I think they usually do them around the 8th episodes they've done the crossovers. So it's going to be a huge 4-night event. I mean, CW's lineup is stacked now. It's got Supergirl on Mondays, Flash Tuesdays, Arrow Wednesdays, and then Legend tomorrow, Thursdays, plus all the other shit they got going on. But that's a solid 4 days, if you're a fan of each show. It's going to be really good for CW. I mean, Supergirl, its ratings declined over the course of the season, but it still averaged more viewers than The Flash gets because it was on a bigger network. So maybe that'll carry over to the CW. Who knows?
Yeah, the CW is actually picking up. Like, I remember before Arrow, it was kind of a joke network. It was kind of like a UPN thing. Before that, it was the WB channel.
Yeah, well, it combined WB and UPN.
Yeah, exactly.
And turned it into the CW.
And the WB channel was not really that.
It was good for Saturday morning cartoons.
Yes.
Back in the day.
That's the only thing.
I'm pretty sure that was it. And Smallville was on it, wasn't it? Or was
that
ABC
Smallville
Family?
Was on it.
Yeah, it was CW. Or WB, that's right. Wouldn't be on ABC Family. Yes, but now, that sets up a lot of shit and could really involve 2 plot points. Sets up a lot of poop. They had a lot of X-Lax.
Yeah.
But 2 points that we'll touch on once we get to the final episode of Flash. But until then, let's talk about episode 22, titled Invincible. And this picks up right after Zoom's Hitler rally with all the metahumans that he brought over. And I'm sure he gathered some from Earth-1. But he sends them out to just fucking ruin the city. Barry, captures a lot of them, takes out fires, and gets minimal help from the police. Not a lot, but, they're going against superhumans, so it makes sense. So then Barry, throughout this whole episode, was, on a new level of confidence coming out of the Speed Force. He was way more positive than somebody in position should have been. Even Team Flash was commenting on it. They're like, since he came from the Speed Force, he's not worried at all.
Yeah, he's overconfident.
Yeah, he was way overconfident. And there's been a lot of the way he was talking about the Speed Force, a lot of memes spawned out of that. And one of them was have you heard of our Lord and Savior Speed Force?
Yeah.
One of those things, which was funny, but yeah, it was just really weird. Even as his dad and Joe and Iris were all like, dude, what's going on? You went into the Speed Force. But it's good to have confidence, but yeah, he should have been much more worried. Caitlin comes back as she escaped Zoom.
Yeah, it was kind of he let her go, but
he gave her the option to leave.
Yeah, he gave her the option to leave, and I kind of liked the way he did it. He delivered pretty well. He's like, if you stay, you stay, but if you leave, I'll show you just as much mercy as I'll show everybody else. Essentially saying, I will kill you.
Yeah, I will straight up murder you.
Yeah.
And she comes back and she suffers from some PTZD, post-traumatic Zoom disorder.
I like that.
Thank you. Yeah, she's clearly messed up. She starts hallucinating him and stuff, and
maybe she does still love him. Maybe she thinks that she can change him.
Maybe. I mean, would they do that on a superhero show? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah. But one of the highlights of this episode, especially for people who watch Arrow, was Katie Cassidy was back as Laurel Lance, except her doppelganger from Earth 2, and she was named the Black Siren in this. But she was a metahuman, unlike how Black Canary was on Arrow. Instead of having that stupid voice collar, she actually had her powers, much like she does in the comics. And this was the best version of Laurel and the Black Canary. This is what Laurel should have been on Arrow,
right?
As the Black Canary. Flash did it way better. Go figure.
Well, wasn't Arrow originally not supposed to be not have superpowers or something like that?
Yeah, they were up until Barry got introduced in that backdoor pilot, to have any well, we already introduced him on this, so we're gonna start introducing some powers. But they just never gave. But it never resulted in either Katie Lotz, who played Sarah Lance at the first Black Canary on the show, or Laurel getting powers. Instead, Sarah had these almost like sonic grenades, and then Laurel got this collar built from Cisco that contained the loud sonic vibrations.
Okay.
Which not a lot of people liked, but I guess it fit into the show at first. But Flash handled how that character should have been much, much better. Thankfully, which a lot of people who were fans of both shows were both happy about and pissed about that Arrow ruined her, pretty much.
It seems like Arrow's ruining a lot of things lately.
Oh, yeah, that this past season started off with promise and then got even worse. It was the worst season of any superhero show I've ever seen.
Really?
Their finale last night was painfully and laughably terrible. Comic books in general, and then comic book shows and movies operate on a different set of logic.
Yeah,
but
it's just a given.
Yeah, but Arrow didn't have even that amount of logic. Logic was not a concept that the plot understood or any character understood, and it just made no sense. There's no logic, no sense in the show, and last night just proved it. And I'm pretty sure it had lost a lot of viewers. I mean, its viewership was down. A lot of people have more or less been boycotting the show and then calling out the writers and the showrunner. In fact, the Arrow subreddit changed itself into a Daredevil subreddit, like a Daredevil appreciation subreddit, and they titled it the show that Arrow was supposed to be. So now they're just doing all Daredevil discussions and Daredevil posts.
That's great.
Which was really funny, and it just shows that sub was becoming toxic anyway, but yeah, Arrow fucked. And then the way it ended last night was a giant fuck you right to the audience. The character Felicity, who has become a terrible character, they ruined that character, and she's been destroying the show, which sucks because she used to be great. She goes, she's basically looking right at the camera and is like, "Oh, what, you thought I was leaving? Not a chance." Which was a big fuck you to the audience, because the writers, specifically showrunner Mark Guggenheim, are really fine with sticking it to the core audience, it seems, and kind of satisfying Tumblr users in a way, which it sounds like it's outlandish, but a lot of the things that have been suggested on Tumblr have actually made it into the show, and the writers have acknowledged that.
Really? Okay.
Which is a terrible idea.
Yeah, it's...
Tumblr is terrible.
Tumblr
is ridiculous. 99.9% of the people on it are ridiculous.
I don't understand. Just keep it the photos.
Yeah. Or, as a professional writer, just not force shit on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people saw it as I, myself included, and Anthony DeLee saw it as a giant fuck you to the audience, pretty much. But enough about Arrow. Fuck that show. There's no way they can save it. Anyway, so yeah, the Laurel Lance was much better on this. And so she ends up fighting the Flash. She's, a little wary of what Zoom is doing. And tries to fight the Flash, and Barry's getting his ass kicked because of her sonic things. And then Wally, this was actually really funny. Wally comes out of nowhere, speeding, does like a real sharp turn and fucking hits her and launches her.
Yep.
I started dying laughing at that. Really, really funny. So then they have to, stop all these metahumans, but Barry can't take them all down while stopping Zoom.
He's
Zoom's
but
still
at the
doing
same
shit.
time, he's also stopping fires, buildings falling down, stuff like that.
He saved Mercury Labs. Because Black Siren took it out.
Yeah, and there was that scientist too that
Dr. Tina McGee.
Yeah, she's like, Barry, and he's like, huh? And like they kind of like don't explain it, but she's like, I'm a scientist. Like,
Yeah, she goes, I'm not stupid.
yeah, but you're essentially calling everybody that didn't figure it out that's not stupid, like Wally West.
Well, to be fair, she's had more. Wally is whatever. I didn't expect Wally to know like that, and I'm sure she has. Caitlin worked at Mercury Labs for a little bit. Maybe she kind of let it slip or something. Or there was just clues.
Yeah, I guess there was clues, and I guess she has more of an insight because she is a scientist. But then it's just like it kind of like characters like Iris. Like, how did she not figure it out when it's like her brother / crush lover, whatever? I don't know.
Because Iris had other things to focus on, and I don't know. It doesn't. She knew. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's whatever. But
I guess it's whatever.
Yeah, there's nothing like you could really do about it or explain it or whatever. Yeah, so he saves Mercury Labs. She's like, they stole something, like some weapon we were working on or whatever. Some huge thing which Zoom ended up stealing. And it was funny because after that, the team decides to use this sonic amplifier to tune to the frequency of Earth 2 people because they operate on different frequencies, and this is supposed to just subdue them. So they do that, takes out all the metahumans, about to take out Zoom, and somehow he opens a breach to Earth 2, which I didn't understand how, out of nowhere, he's suddenly able to open up breaches again. Unless it had to do with, the combining of the frequencies or something. I don't really know how he did. They didn't explain it.
Yeah, I was kind of I had to think for a second, especially during commercial break, where it was just like, did I miss something?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm kind of glad you brought that up because I was hoping maybe Pat has an answer when he explains it, and then
to be honest, I don't.
And I'm sure Dalia doesn't know either.
Yeah, we were both talking about it. We talked throughout the episodes, and we're both like, oh, I guess he can just randomly do that now. Maybe it has to do with him gaining Barry's speed or the combining of the vibrational frequencies that were going on. I don't know.
It didn't make sense.
They didn't explain it, but whatever.
Yeah.
So he leaves. They capture all the rest of the metahumans, and then they get back to the police station. It was really funny because Joe and Captain Singh are talking, and Flash shows up and was like, oh, he's like, thank you, Flash, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, oh, where's Barry Allen? Where's Allen? And Flash zooms off and then instantly comes right back as Barry.
Yeah.
It was just like a little bait and switch, but it was really funny.
Yeah, it was funny.
So then after that, everybody's having this nice dinner back at Joe's house, and we see Dr. Tina McGee and Barry's dad flirting a little bit, which is funny because in the 1990 Flash series, which John Wesley Shipp, who plays Barry's dad, was the Flash, she was the main actress on it. I don't think she was Iris, but she was the main woman on the show that
right.
he was together with or whatever. So it was just funny and a nice little nod to the series.
To the old fans.
To the people who watched that series.
Was it any? I never watched an episode of the 1990 Flash series. Is it any good?
I haven't seen it. It only lasted one season. I think it was more a little campier.
Yeah.
Kind of. It was pretty much what you would expect a live action 1990 superhero show to see. I saw clips of it, but it's whatever. I think that it does have a following, but I never watched a full episode to know.
Okay.
So during that party, Zoom crashes the party, kidnaps Henry, and runs off. And then Barry just bolts out. And Wally's like, oh, shit. Now he knows Barry's the Flash. It's kind of fun. He's just like, what the fuck? So then Barry races after him. Somehow stops to grab his suit at Star Labs and then meets up with Zoom at his old house. Got to take a pit stop before you go see a psychopath who has my dad hostage. And then Zoom and Barry's trying to get Zoom not, let his dad go. And
Panicking.
Like,
he's
panicking. Understandably, because we know Zoom is a psycho serial killer.
Yeah.
And Zoom's like, listen, Barry, you're just like me. We're the same person. And he said that a couple times, and he goes, you lost your mother, but now you're going to lose your father, and then you'll become just like me. And Zoom vibrates his hand right through Henry's chest. And end episode.
That's it.
That was brutal.
That was brutal. My jaw dropped.
Yeah. I mean, I was expecting it because in the last episode he goes, "Don't worry, I'm here for the long run." Anytime somebody says that, you're like, "Oh, okay, they're gonna die."
Yeah.
It was kind of hinted at, but you still don't. Lost one parent, you really got to lose.
Yeah, that's
another
what I was
one.
kind of thinking too, because I thought that, and I was just like, well, no, his mom's already dead. I think something was going to happen where Zoom was going to have him captured, or like have them worried. I didn't think he was actually going to kill him, but dude, he kills him.
Oh yeah, no remorse. So then the season finale, the race of his life, picks up right where that left off. Barry starts beating him, hits him against the wall. Zoom runs away, and he splits into two. And Barry's catching up with one of them. The one I guess he didn't realize that Zoom had he brought in a time remnant, which is another thing that they really haven't explained well throughout this season that a lot of people have had a problem with. I kind of just accepted it as something they needed a tool they needed to use to accomplish certain things.
Yeah, but
there's not a whole lot of sense behind it.
That's one of the problems I actually had with the season finale was like the lack of time. Like I almost could have used another episode.
Yeah.
Of them of filling in stuff. Like for a season that's 23 episodes, they leave a lot to the imagination of the viewers.
That's one thing they haven't explained since they first used it when they brought the Reverse Flash back.
Yeah.
Because that's what he was, but they didn't explain it well. They actually didn't even really explain it. They kind of were like, well, it's complicated.
Yeah, it's like, from what I understand, a time remnant is you, but from a different time, but it doesn't really matter if they die because
it's weird because it's technically a past self, but I think they're outside the timeline.
But then how does
I think the time remnant is like when Barry travels back in time, twice he's seen himself running along himself.
Yeah.
And when he goes back into that time, except for the one episode where he went to get faster from the Reverse Flash, episode 17, he didn't replace himself because that Barry wasn't traveling through time. So I think the way it works is like the time remnant is the version of you that's traveling through time or something,
but then
that you're going to replace.
But that would affect him because it's not a different Earth Flash. So they did a whole episode where they go back in time, just like you said, to get faster from Reverse Flash, and it affects the future because what's his face I can't think of right now is a good guy now.
Yeah, Hartley.
Well,
because he's not replacing himself. He didn't replace himself because that at that point in time, Barry didn't travel back in time. I think it's when he goes and finds a version of himself that's currently going back in time or through the Speed Force or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's how it works because that's how they explain or kind of explain the Reverse Flash coming back because he was going through time via the Speed Force to get back to that time, so that's how he survived or something.
Okay.
And usually when they're traveling back in time, they're replacing that version of themselves or something like that. It's anything with time travel is really complicated. So this is just another complication, but they never really fully explained it.
Yeah, it wasn't. Again, it was just one of the problems I had with the season finale. It just I think it was just they just kind of pulled it just for a means to an end.
Yeah, I think they just created it just to serve a purpose.
Yeah, and it kind of weakened it for me because the writing is so strong in the Flash. I know these writers are capable of doing better.
Yeah.
And for me, it was just, excuse me. For me, it was just kind of lazy.
It was kind of a distraction a little bit because you're like, how the fuck does this work? Because he should be dead.
Yeah.
He should like kill his future self or something. But I don't know. I'm just accepting that it was just a tool they used that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I'm kind of just over it at this point.
Yeah, but even they even attempt to explain it. Like,
well, when the Reverse Flash came back, Earth 2 Wells tried to, but it's still like the rules of it still are not really set in stone and aren't like solid.
Yeah, because
even
it's
then,
kind of
the rest of Team Flash didn't understand it. Barry himself didn't even understand it. So I don't know. I'm just accepting that it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
and moving past it because if they use it again, I don't want to be like, well, it doesn't make any sense. So I'm just going to be like, whatever, it is what it is. I can't, it's just something they needed to accomplish. Whatever.
Yeah,
I accepted it. So Barry's chasing Zoom along the city and finally stops him and grabs him and is vibrating his hand, about to kill Zoom. Doesn't. Zoom's saying shit to him, and then boom, out of nowhere, another Zoom comes out, murders himself. Turns out it's another time remnant, which again is confusing because how many time remnants are there? And I'm like, okay, the time remnant thing is stupid, but that was pretty badass. He straight up doesn't give a shit about even killing himself.
No, yeah, he wants to get his way.
Yeah, which is pretty badass and adds to, I think, the badassery of Zoom. Like, in character, like in his full suit, I think Zoom's like actually pretty menacing.
Yeah, like I like the way, even though he looks different from the comics, I like this redesign a lot.
Yeah, me too.
I wasn't huge into it. Like I liked it when I first came out, but it's grown on me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, and I get why they did it. He has to look different from Reverse Flash.
Zoom in the comics and the Reverse Flash in the comics, with the exception of Daniel West, have the same suit.
Yep,
pretty much. They had same color scheme, same design. So they wanted to change it, which is a good idea because then people just would have been like, "Oh, it's the Reverse Flash again." So they made a smart decision. Plus, the way they made it fit to his personality.
Right.
The all black, the psychoticness, the turning his pupils black, that demonic voice really fit the way that they made this Zoom's personality, which I like more now. Yeah, and I think it ended up working out well. So then they have the funeral for Henry. After that, they go back to Joe's place, and then Barry and Iris are talking. Zoom comes by. Barry chases after him. Doesn't get his suit this time. I guess they didn't want to stop for it for whatever reason.
Yeah, just running in a suit.
Yeah. And
how did the tie just not fly off?
Well, his clothes should have burned up. Like
True.
the part of the reason of his suit, other than to conceal his identity, is because it's friction proof. And like in an episode last season when Barry's running with Felicity, her shirt burns off. So it's I don't know, really, like it's just something they kind of overlook sometimes.
Yeah, it's kind of stupid.
Yeah, it's just something that's a little inconsistent. But whatever. Then Zoom's like, all right, Barry, let's have a race to see who's the fastest man alive. Which at first is like stupid. I mean, in Flash comics, a lot of things actually were settled by races, having a race. But obviously there's more to his plan. He sets up the Magnetar, I think it was called. And it's this huge device that he's going to use to destroy the multiverse and make Earth 1, since it's the center of the multiverse, the only Earth. Mm-hmm. He wants to destroy the entire multiverse. And this is actually a plot that they're adapting from Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah.
That the Anti-Monitor in the comics was trying to accomplish. So it's one of the 3 big Flash things, or 4 Flash things that they did in this episode, with the other ones coming later. So Barry it's like, fine, whatever. Team Flash is absolutely not. It's not going to happen. They trank him, lock him up in the pipeline, and then come up with their own plan to defeat him, which started out okay, but then lost itself and stopped making sense and started being stupid. First, they lured him out once they were able to figure out where he was hiding at this warehouse, and used Caitlin to try and talk to him and distract him. And Zoom's like, "Oh, Caitlin, she was trying to convince him to take her back." And Zoom's like, "I told you, if you left me, I was going to kill you." And so he goes and shoves his hand. Looked like it was right through her crotch, by the way.
Yeah, maybe he wasn't trying to show her no mercy in another way.
Yeah. He's trying to fist her like Damien fist Julia, I think.
Yeah, totally. That's it.
But she was a hologram, which is something that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. actually pulled in their season finale, which I think is just coincidence. They obviously didn't adapt that because they filmed at the same time.
Yeah.
Or, before or whatever.
Or at a time where they know, like, one...
Yeah.
Yeah.
They probably didn't know one another was doing that. But distraction worked. Joe shoots the metahuman boot on Zoom's neck and was going to shoot him with a trank gun. Gun jammed. So Harry's got to step up with that laser blaster he has. Joe's trying to get closer to trank him. Harry does this sweet dive shot that I thought was pretty sick.
Yeah.
He 360 no-scoped him almost.
It was pretty good.
He dove, shot him, badass. Zoom goes into the breach that Cisco opened, except Zoom brings Joe with him. And the problem I had with that is, it started out fine, but they know he can open breaches still. So sending him back to that Earth really doesn't
do anything,
accomplish anything, because he could just come right back. But it was just used to basically have two scenes with Zoom and Joe where Zoom's explaining what he did. He's like, I figured out I can go to the multiverse after I took Velocity 9 because it started killing me. Went to all these different Earths, got all these speedsters, killed them, stole all their powers, and then basically explaining what he's been doing since he first got his powers. And then Joe's like, "Okay, well, what's with that guy? He a speedster too?" Talking about the man in the iron mask, and he goes, "Yeah, but for some reason I can't take his powers." Wait, so he's more like a trophy.
Yeah, and see, this is the problem I have with the episode. There's a lot of just decisions just to progress story, not to, in order just for it to finish, without really going through anything. Do they explain why he can't take his powers?
I don't think so. To be honest, I don't really remember.
Yeah, so then if he did say it, it was brief.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, why can't he take his powers? Why? How is time revenant a thing? It's just, to me, it was a little lazy, man.
Yeah, I don't. They might have explained it, but they really didn't. But so we find out. I think it was more just for the reveal, basically, which was a big reveal. And I predicted it, that the man in the iron mask was the real Jay Garrick.
Yeah.
And Zoom basically adopted his name on that Earth because he didn't exist on that Earth, and used him, basically kept him as a trophy, because he couldn't steal his powers. Why not just have him there to torture him or whatever? So Barry vibes to Earth. Wally releases Barry. And Wally's like, "Dude, that's so awesome, you're the Flash. Thanks for saving me, by the way." He had, the most calm reaction to finding out Barry's a superhero.
Yeah.
Nice to see somebody level-headed about it.
Yeah, because that actually didn't bother me. Because I wanted to pretend that he kind of knew already. But, yeah, I wouldn't have been like that. I would have been I would have screamed at the top of my lungs, "Holy shit, you're the Flash. You run that fast."
Yeah. you're a fucking hero. This is awesome.
Yeah. He's like, yo, man, you're the Flash.
The only one who I think took it better, I mean, Wally handled it great because he's so level-headed about it. He's like more like, this is awesome, is Thea when Oliver revealed that he was the Arrow. He's like, over the past couple years, I know I hadn't been there for pretty much anything. This is why. And she's like, that's so awesome. Like, he's like, are you mad? She's like, no, you were saving people. You were doing something better. Like, I'm not mad at all. Actually, I'm really thankful about it. I was like super cool about it. But pretty much everyone else on that show was like not okay with it. And then Iris at first was not okay with finding that Barry lied to her about being the Flash, or didn't tell her. Patty didn't handle it well at first either, before she left. So it was nice to see another person take it very easily.
I feel like a lot of people know Barry's the Flash.
More and more people are finding out Barry's the Flash and that Oliver's the Arrow, or the Green Arrow, and then like even more people
it's
are
still a
finding out,
secret
like,
identity.
Yeah, I guess not enough people know for it to be a huge problem. But whatever. Yeah, it's just like every other episode. It's like, hey, oh, I'm the Flash. Just so you know. Whatever. At least Wally's, close now, I guess, and isn't gonna be like post it on Twitter or something.
Still, like, he doesn't know him that well.
Yeah, but he's Joe's son, so I guess there's some sort of trust there right away.
Yeah.
Plus, he did save his life.
And, like, they are kind of, I get, like...
In a way, they're siblings.
In a way, they're siblings, yeah.
They weren't raised together, but in a way, they're kind of siblings. Because Joe is probably more Barry's dad, really, than he is Wally's dad.
Yeah.
Because Joe raised Barry. Granted, Joe didn't know about Wally, but he's his biological dad, and it's a weird kind of relationship, but there's some sort of trust there.
Yeah.
So they're all like, Barry's like, vibes to Zoom. He's like, all right, let's do this. You got to bring Joe unharmed. And then, I don't remember when they did it, but Zoom brought the Man in the Iron Mask too at some point, I guess. I don't even remember how he got to Earth 1.
They didn't. Okay, that's another thing that got me angry. Was they didn't explain that either. They were just like, Zoom was defeated, or like it's. We're getting a little too far ahead now. So when they run around, what's that thing called? They run around to charge
Magnetar.
The Magnetar sounds like a Pokemon.
Yeah.
The Magnetar. When they run around that, and the whole Barry Time Remnant sacrifice thing happens, and then the Time Wraiths come and take Zoom, and now another thing that pissed me off was Barry says, "Oh, I was just hoping that they were more pissed at him than they were me," even though he's the one that broke the Time Remnant thing. But Zoom did a Time Remnant again, and nobody went after him. It was kind of annoying.
No, Zoom said he had been when he was talking to Joe, he's like, I've been avoiding the Time Wraiths because he had used the Time Remnants multiple times, and he's been basically interfering with the Speed Force.
But we never see them.
Well, to be fair, we don't see Zoom only shows up when he tries to, do something to the Flash. We don't see all his activities on the side.
True.
We don't really see much of him outside of when he's with one of the main characters from Team Flash.
Good point. I still, it was kind of a little choppy, but that's a good retort.
Yeah.
So, but it still doesn't say the fact that like we don't see them grab Jay Garrick. Like, so
he didn't do anything wrong. Oh, you mean Team Flash?
Team Flash, yeah.
Okay.
He's just there in Earth 1.
Yeah, I don't know how he got there.
Yeah. They go to Earth. They didn't even show him go to Earth 2, did they? Unless I'm missing something.
They didn't show Team Flash go to Earth 2.
Yeah, and like I guess we just left to assume that they did.
Yeah, I guess so. Like off screen or something. Which is, I don't know. But so with the Magnetar thing, as Barry and Zoom race, it's being charged by their Speed Force energy. So Barry pulls out his own Time Remnant, and they're both taking out Zoom. they're able to trip up Zoom. So Barry takes the regular Barry, takes out Zoom, and they start fighting while his time remnant starts basically causing a vortex around the Magnetar to stop it, which is what Barry did in Crisis on Infinite Earths, and that's when he died in the comics, which resulted in this Barry, the time remnant Barry, dying. So it was a good nod to the comics.
That was cool, yeah.
Yeah, and it's cool to see, like, obviously Crisis on Infinite Earths is more than just a Flash story because it's a whole multiverse Flash story involving pretty much every DC character.
Yep.
But obviously they can't do that sort of thing. I thought once they announced Supergirl was going to the CW that they were going to save something like that for next season for the 4-part crossover.
I think they're still going to do something like that, similar.
Yeah, they could do that. They could do Infinite Crisis, or like there's a whole lot of things they could. Really
There's so many
into
crises in
it's like
DC.
every other year there's a DC crisis thing. So yeah, that time remnant gets rid of that. Time Wraiths come out and take Zoom instead of Barry because Zoom has done more to anger them than Barry has. But what was really sick about them, Zoom's like, Barry, you're not going to kill me. He goes, I won't have to. Time Wraiths come out. They grab Zoom. But what was really sick about that is they turn Zoom into the Black Flash.
Wait, they did?
Yeah, when they were taking him up, they were like kind of zombifying him. They changed his costume so that all the symbols were red.
Okay.
They changed his costume and his face into the Black Flash.
Okay, yeah. No, I do remember seeing that now.
Yeah, which was really cool because the Black Flash pretty much is the Grim Reaper for speedsters. He's like, when a speedster is going to die, he's the one who basically ultimately takes their life and brings them into the Speed Force, their life energy. So that's something that I definitely think is going to come back at some point in a later season. Not that he's going to be the big bad or anything, but he's going to show up.
A villain of the week kind of guy.
Maybe, or like a smaller thing or something, but he won't be a big bad because he works for like the Speed Force, Death, the Time Wraiths, like, and he's technically it's not Zoom anymore. Like, Hunter's not in there. Now it's just like a servant of the Time Wraiths or whatever. But yeah, it'll definitely not a big bad worthy thing, but will definitely appear maybe more than once, a couple episodes or something, but something that's going to come back and is kind of a way to bring it back Zoom in a way, even though he won't fully be Zoom or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's another main Flash thing they did. Then finally, they take the Iron Mask off the Man in Iron Mask, and we know it's the real Jay Garrick, and then it's revealed to be Barry's dad's doppelganger.
And then out of nowhere, like,
which I called, but
yeah, he's like, Garrick is my dad's mom's middle name.
He finally realizes it.
Yeah, granted that's kind of like a long shot. Like, I probably would have forgotten that too. I know I was less forgiving in the past about it, but like.
But when he said it, like, I was annoyed that he had no reaction about it. Like, he should have had some reaction about it then. I was like, oh, what the fuck? And then, he reacted to it now and was extremely confused and upset at seeing his dad, who's not his dad, there.
Yeah.
Kind of couldn't handle it. Understandably, because he just saw his dad brutally murdered in front of his eyes.
So it is a weird thing.
Yeah, so I get his reaction. And then the reason the real Jay wasn't able to use his powers on Earth 2 is because the mask had some sort of speed dampener. I don't know.
Reasons.
For reasons, yeah, for plot force.
That's another thing that pissed me off too. I didn't hate this finale.
Well, it's Speed Force. You ain't got to explain shit.
Yeah, it was underwhelming. And also, I thought Zoom's the way it was cool that like he turned into the Black Flash, whether it was a nod or not or anything like that. But still, the way he died was like so lame.
I think it was just because of like the reasoning that they came after him, like with the time remnants and stuff.
It was still lame.
Yeah. It's cool that I like the way they did it because they made him into the Black Flash. It doesn't, it kind of is whatever. Might be a little lame, but but
there was like better fight scenes in like earlier episodes. This is the season finale. Like the season finale of the first season was epic, beyond epic. It was amazing. And then like you watch this and they're just like circling around like the Magnetar, which is like 50 feet, if that. And then they like talk.
Yeah, I don't know. But they somehow got the Jay Garrick's costume. Don't know where that came from.
Yep.
Maybe they brought it back with him. Maybe Zoom kept it on Earth 1 because it's not the same costume that we first saw what we thought was Jay in the beginning.
Yeah.
And they go to hand him. I did like the suit though.
I liked it. I'd rather have the original suit. Just like
it was
Hunter
very
hat.
very similar.
Except for the hat. The hat he had to be like, this isn't mine. I'll take some of his anyway. Like
it just it completed it. That suit is like very accurate though.
Yeah.
In a way. I mean, there's some changes to it, and
like
obviously
the lightning
it's
strike.
different. Yeah. But I liked it, and
well, we all know you liked it. If everyone likes it, you like it.
I'm not Justin or Robbie. Yeah. So Jay's like, I'm from what you would call Earth 3, which kind of causes a problem. Well, I don't know if it causes a problem or not, but so now when it comes to Supergirl, now we are not sure what Earth she's on. I thought it was
Earth 666.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be Earth 3 because that's the third Earth he visited, but of course they didn't even acknowledge, like he didn't bring that up at all.
Yeah, which was
once
dumb.
that happened. So I guess now she's going to be Earth 4.
Yeah.
Or she is Earth 3 and for whatever reason she doesn't know about the Flash.
That would be really stupid.
That.
If they did that, I'd be so mad.
Yeah, I'd rather it just be Earth 4 or something. And so the thing with Jay Garrick, though, is that Jay Garrick has ties to the Justice Society of America, which was introduced to this universe in the season finale of Legends of Tomorrow, when they brought in Our Man, and he said, hey, I'm part of the Justice Society of America.
Yeah.
So I think that they're going to use Jay Garrick. They're going to have interactions with him on The Flash, and then that crossover to Justice Society of America. There's going to be ties with that, and something's going to happen with that sometime next season, whether specifically on The Flash or on Legends or in the crossover or whatever. Which is cool. I would love to see Justice Society of America. When they announced that in Legends finale, I was like, holy shit. Like, that's a big fucking deal.
Yeah. The original, having the original Green Lantern, maybe.
I doubt we'll see a Green Lantern, but that'd be cool. Alan Scott.
Yeah. A blonde Alan Scott.
Yeah. Yeah, so once Jay's like, I need to get back to Earth 3, and Cisco's like, best I could do is Earth 2. Then Wells and Jesse are going back to Earth 2. They're like, we'll take care of that. Bring us to Earth 2. They leave, and then they're all back at Joe's house. Everybody's like, relax, finally we took down like this psychotic multiverse trying to destroy villain. So we're like, oh, we can breathe for now until we get, a villain of the week. But Barry's like not satisfied, so he's sitting outside moping on the porch. Him and Iris have a moment.
It was a nice moment.
It was a nice moment. He got a little peck out of it. I was expecting it to be like a little more passionate kiss.
Yeah, I was expecting to do it right there.
Oh yeah, right there with some speed humping.
Dude, Barry's begging for it.
Yeah, but then he's like, we can't do this just yet. There's some things I got to work on myself.
Yeah.
He goes, I don't have peace or whatever. Like, dude,
but he got it when he learned.
I know how Barry can find peace once he gets a piece of that ass.
Yeah, exactly. Come on.
So Barry still feels broken, and which this thing, it sets up a huge story that I love, but Barry kind of clearly didn't learn from the season 1 finale. Because Barry goes back to the night of his mom's murder and stops the Reverse Flash from murdering his mom.
Yep.
Which, in the season finale last year when he went to go do that, there was another Flash there that said, don't do it. So I think the Flash that said don't do it was from and what this, I should explain what this is setting up first. And this is setting up the Flashpoint paradox.
Yep. I think that's...
Which is what's going to start with next season.
And then they hint that in this first season?
They did. Yeah, they set it up pretty much like they're like, this might happen. I thought it was going to happen last season, but they, stopped it. They hinted at it, but now they're doing it.
Right.
Which is fucking sweet because Flashpoint Paradox is awesome.
Yeah,
awesome comic story, and then if you don't want to read the comic, watch the animated movie on Netflix.
Yeah, it is good. It is very good.
But the one Flash that was there that told Barry at that time not to do it, I think is a post Flashpoint Flash. Like he had already experienced the Flashpoint timeline.
Yep.
So he goes back to make sure that Barry another Barry doesn't mess with it.
Yep.
So that I think that at the end of or at some point in season 3, Barry's gonna have to go back and stop himself again.
Yeah.
To fix the timeline, because the events of Flashpoint, Barry altering the timeline like that has a hugely serious effect.
Yeah, I mean, we're never going to see Thomas Wayne.
Different. No, we'll never see Thomas Wayne. I think what they're going to do though is they're going to make Oliver Queen's dad
the Arrow
in place of Thomas Wayne, because on Earth 2, Robert Queen is the Arrow because Oliver died on the ship that they were on instead.
Okay.
So I think they're going to use him in place of Thomas Wayne. Even though I'd love to see Thomas Wayne because Thomas Wayne was badass.
Yeah, he is.
So obviously they can't use all the characters that they use in Flashpoint because it's a lot of Justice League characters. But now that they're expanding their roster with Supergirl and then the cast of Legends and then who they're going to bring on Legends of Justice Society, we'll see something. We'll see a decent amount of things. Yeah, so I think now that this is where next season's going to start off, and I'm hoping that it actually has an effect on the other 3 shows and not just The Flash, because it would make sense if they all take place, well, with the exception of Supergirl currently, in the same universe, same timeline, even though Legends of Tomorrow is, all over the place. It still takes place in the same universe.
Yeah. So
I'd be disappointed if it didn't have an effect on those timelines, or on those shows. I mean,
right? It has to. I feel like that's one of the reasons why, like business wise, they brought over Supergirl for the CW is so that way, like whatever the Flash is building up to is going to affect everything.
Yeah, it needs to because it's a world changing event.
Yep.
If it doesn't affect Supergirl at first, I'd understand because she's on a different Earth. So I don't think it'll have a ripple through the multiverse, just Earth 1's timeline.
Yeah.
And the events of Earth 1. So it'll affect Arrow, and then depending on where Legends... It'll affect Legends even if they're traveling through time when it happens, because that they travel along one timeline. And the way that they, mess with it and stuff, but it's still one continuous timeline. So at that point in time, that wherever they are at some point in time, the timeline's going to be different. So it's going to affect them in some way. And a lot of people are like, after Arrow's finale last night, they're like, wow, I wonder if it's going to have a positive impact on Arrow and actually make something good happen for once. Which I hope, but I'm really excited for the possibility of Flashpoint. And they could end up, doing that for a few episodes, and then the culmination of repairing it ends up in the 4-part crossover, or they just use a crossover for something else and they fix Flashpoint earlier or something like that.
Yeah, we don't know, but it's September, right, that it comes back?
October. Yeah, all 4 shows are back in October. Like usually beginning of October, I think. But I'm fucking excited for Flashpoint.
Same.
I love.
You're even rocking your Flash T-shirt right now.
I am, because I had to get in the mood. But as soon as that happened, the Flash subreddit went nuts, and like people I follow on Twitter who are fans of the Flash are like, "Holy fuck, even like Nerdist covered it, and they're like, "Holy shit! Like this is crazy. This is all the things that could happen." So yeah, I'm gonna rewatch the Flashpoint movie again, like soon, and then probably again before the season starts.
I'll probably watch it tomorrow.
And I do recommend that movie a lot. I recommend pretty much the entirety of the DC animated universe. But if you're
There's
a fan
very
of,
few movies in the DC animated film series that I'm like, but they're never like terrible movies.
there are no terrible ones. There
I
are
would
just some
say
that are
not-
okay.
Yeah, I would say 95% of them are good. Good to great.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. And
Under the
Flashpoint-
Red Hood is the best one in my opinion.
Probably. I'm gonna give the edge to Flashpoint. Well, I don't know. I'm gonna put them at a tie because I'd have to think about that.
Son of Batman is pretty good too, actually.
Son of Batman's pretty good, but I don't think it's as good as those two.
No, it's not. But I think it's like
It's really good.
if there was like a top 10, it would be like a number 11 for me.
Yeah, it'd be up there.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons Flashpoint is so great is because it's written by the genius, comic god Jeff Johns.
Yep. Who spells it Geoff?
Uh-huh.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah, and he's an amazing comic book writer. He's written some, incredible stories, not just Flashpoint, but a lot of the Rebirth ones.
Blackest Night.
Like just a shit ton
He
that
like
I could probably name.
he saved Aquaman.
Yeah, he saved Aquaman. He made, gained Aquaman some respect back.
More than gained.
Yeah, he turned him into a much better character.
Exactly.
Made him much more popular.
Made him much more powerful.
Yeah.
He needed it. Aquaman needed that.
Yeah. And he's writing the new Rebirth, which is basically it's the end of the New 52.
Right.
Flashpoint led to the New 52, and love it or hate it, there was a lot of good stuff that came out of New 52. I think
Swamp Thing was incredible.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of good things that happened in New 52. But
Maybe we'll see that to Arrow.
Maybe. I doubt it, because the Arrow writers and showrunners are douchebag or just suck. But maybe, hopefully. But the new Rebirth is essentially ending the New 52, and apparently the first issue came out either yesterday or the day before, and apparently it's fucking amazing, which I have no doubt because I've never disliked anything Jeff Johns has written.
Nope.
And which is even better because he's co-writing the new Batman movie with Ben Affleck.
I have hope for DCEU now.
Yeah, because
that just fires Zack Snyder from Justice League.
that won't happen probably till Justice League 2, to be honest. Because now they're over a month into filming Justice League. So I don't think it's going to happen at this point.
I wonder what the production is like there.
Apparently, DC Warner Brothers are butting heads with Zack Snyder very heavily.
Apparently, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reports, but DC was so unhappy with it that they made Jeff Johns and I forget the other guy's name, but they made them into the Kevin Feige of the DC universe. It was a great idea.
Yep, they should have done
I
it
think
from day one.
Yeah.
Should have done it.
Absolutely. And they're now like forcing decisions on Zack Snyder, which is good because they're like, listen, we need to repair shit after Batman vs Superman in a big way.
Yep.
So that's great. But apparently the new DC Rebirth issue was awesome. I got to pick it up. Recommend it. Yeah, the Flash finale wasn't as good as the first one.
No.
But
it was an okay episode, honestly, in my opinion.
But some big things happen, and it set up the possibility of a couple big events, a big character, and then Flashpoint, which is huge.
Yeah,
huge
that's the thing that
extremely
excited me
excited.
the most.
Yeah. I blew my load when that happened. Yeah, so we don't really know a lot about next season. It's up in the air. Obviously, it's probably going to start with Flashpoint, but in terms of like how that's going to affect the rest of the universe, how many episodes are going to make that arc, and who the official big bad is going to be, that we probably won't find out till Comic-Con. I know a lot of people agree with this, and I'm sure you're going to agree with this, but I don't want it to be another speedster to be the big bad of the season.
No, I don't either.
I think the the showrunners and the writers understand that. They're like, we did it 2 seasons in a row. Obviously the Flash and evil speedsters go hand in hand, but like there's a lot of good villains they could turn into, like the big bads. specifically like a full Rogues team would be sweet, or Gorilla Grodd, like Gorilla City type of deal.
Yeah, that would be satisfying.
Yeah. I'm not saying don't use any evil speedsters, but just don't make them the big bad.
Yes, I agree.
Like, you got to include other speedsters, obviously, but give them like 3 episodes max. Just don't as long as they're not the big bad, I think people will be satisfied.
Right. Like a return of Reverse Flash for like a 3-episode arc or something like that.
Well, see, if they're doing Flashpoint, the way this sets it up is,
Reverse Flash is the main villain of that.
yeah, he is. He's the main villain of it. Although you can kind of call Barry the main villain because it's Barry's fault.
Yeah.
Dawn just let it happen and like taunted Barry about it. But the way with the Flashpoint paradox, Dawn never replaces Earth One Harrison Wells. He doesn't take his body. He doesn't kill him. He doesn't pose as him for all those years. So now we're gonna have another Harrison Wells. We're gonna have the real Earth One Harrison Wells, which I hope they do, and I hope Tom Cavanaugh comes back for it because
he was great.
He was fantastic. Both seasons, absolutely fantastic, and so I'm looking forward to that. He'll be playing 4 different characters, really, at this point. The original Earth One Harrison Wells that we briefly see, then Eobard Thawne as Harrison Wells, then Earth 2 Harrison Wells, then he'll be playing full-time Harrison Wells, which I hope they do. So Thawne, we'll see him again next season, without a doubt. I don't know if Barry's going to kill him or not. Probably not, but you don't know.
Yeah.
Because he didn't kill him in the original Flashpoint comic or movie. I'm not going to say how it ends, but Barry's not the one who kills him. Barry saves his mom, and then everything changes.
Right.
So we'll see how that happens, but I'm just really excited for it.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped, and it's like I think I want season 3 to be stronger than season 2. Not that season 2 was bad by any means. It was a great season overall, but there's some things I'm just like, ugh, like for 23 episodes, they do need to, like, if they're gonna pull like time remnants or some shit like that.
Yeah, they need to think it out more and actually have like solid explanation for it.
Yes,
I think.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people had complaints about that. We're not the only ones, but so hopefully over 23 episodes, you got to do that. Yeah, you have to have like solid explanations.
And they're 45-minute episodes. Like,
yeah, you can't just like rely on it's Speed Force. I ain't got to explain shit.
Right.
You just gotta.
That only lasts so long.
You just gotta make it work somehow. Yeah. So, I mean, this season there was a lot of stuff they did. There was a lot of stuff in this season that was better than season 1, but there's also a lot of stuff that wasn't as good. It fixed some problems from season 1, but it also had problems that weren't in season 1.
I think it created more than it fixed. But the problems are still not unfixable. If anything, you have to fix the problems. You just don't have to really bring it up again.
Yeah. Or if you bring it up again, have
an explanation for it.
Yeah, have a good explanation for it.
And again, I know I complain about sometimes like things are over. Like my biggest problem with movies and TV shows is over exposition, like as far or over explanation, not leaving enough to the imagination. But then there's like things that you need to explain in order for a story to make sense.
Yeah. Yeah, you need a balance. You need just the right amount, without overdoing it or underdoing it.
Right. It's a hard balance to find, though. So I'm not ignorant to that.
Yeah. Yeah, it just sucks. We got, a little more than 4 months without the Flash.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
And no Jessica Jones or...
No other comic book shows. In September, Luke Cage comes out.
What I like to think is the comic book movies come out during summer and the TV shows are during the non-summer seasons, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have Suicide Squad and Doctor Strange, but
True, I forgot about that.
It's solo releases. It's not something to rely on each week.
Yeah,
or whatever. But that's fine because then it gives you time to catch up on more shit, like you to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or. Give Legends of Tomorrow a chance or something.
Yeah, Legends of Tomorrow is kind of...
overall, it wasn't that bad. It started off slow. It really picked up, got cool. Then it lost all its time logic. Had a rough couple episodes to the ending, but the season finale was pretty strong.
Okay. That's probably like a show on my day off. I'll just destroy through.
Just give it a shot. But I recommend Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. more.
How many episodes are there of Legends of Tomorrow?
There's only 16.
That's it?
Yeah. So yeah, either do that first or do S.H.I.E.L.D., but S.H.I.E.L.D. is more worth it.
Okay.
Trust me. Yeah, guys, so let us know what you thought of the finale or the season overall. If you have any theories of what might happen next season. If you haven't seen the Flashpoint movie, fucking watch it. Watch it a whole bunch of times. It's great. Let us know what you think of that. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Expect an X-Men Apocalypse review this weekend.
That's going to be this Sunday. There's going to be a couch review on that as well. This Sunday of X-Men Apocalypse. That'll be the spoiler-free review. Obviously, the spoiler review will be Awesome Sunday Show. And also expect another retro review next week of the Amityville Horror, suggested by Amanda Elmo. So, quick shout-out to there. It's just... So, yeah, if you're a fan of Awesome Sunday Show, also listen to the couch review. Pat is on there. Pat's going to be on... Yeah, I meant to tell you, you're going to be on the X-Men Apocalypse one.
Oh, thanks for telling me.
I kind of figured it was assumed.
Well, yeah, I don't mind.
But I
guess.
Yeah.
I got to get you those subscribers.
Dude, you have one more subscriber than me.
Doesn't matter. It's one more that I have over you.
Who else should we bring on couch review for X-Men?
I don't know. I got to see who wants to go see it with us.
Yeah, I guess it's whoever sees it with us.
Yeah. Anyway, like, share, comment, subscribe, download on iTunes.
Follow us on Podbean.
Put us on blast. Share it with everybody you know. Follow us on Twitter. The show is at Awesome Sun Show. Don't say the characters thing because you say it every time.
Ruining my fun.
Follow the Couch Review at the Couch Review, and you can find it on YouTube at the Couch Review. It's also our featured channel on our main YouTube page for Awesome Sunday Show.
Also,
on the right sidebar.
If you follow Couch Review, Awesome Sunday Show is also a featured channel as well.
Yeah. So check that out. Follow our individual Twitters. I'm at RickPatMick.
And I'm at Less Than Connor. Also, a quick shout out to there's a new show coming around, started by Matt Hoffman, who is an Awesome Sunday Show regular and a Couch Review regular as well, with good friends Phil Vacone, and I think there's another person they're starting with.
There's another person, but I don't know who he is.
I don't know who he is, but I'm sure he's a nice dude. So sorry about that, but you will probably be on this show.
Connor hates you already.
Yeah,
Doesn't
totally.
even matter.
Pat was talking so much crap about you before, even though he doesn't know.
Yeah,
your name.
talking crap about somebody I don't know.
Yeah,
Totally.
it's called The Middle Urinal. I think their first episode is May 31st.
Yeah, that's this weekend.
Yeah,
or
so
Monday or whatever. Yeah, so we'll share that.
Yeah,
on whatever. But yeah, shout out to them. All right, guys, take it easy.
Peace.